Welcome friends, this is the fifth session of this course on manufacturing strategy. We have discussed in our previous sessions about the importance of manufacturing in wealth creation and how governments are focusing on improving their manufacturing contribution in the overall GDP of a nation. At the same time, we also discussed that the functional roles can provide very important strategic inputs to the organization's success. Now, once we have understood that how functional roles can provide strategic input to the organization, in this session we will be focusing on the point of functional dominance within corporate strategy. We will see that over a period of time different types of functions they dominated the corporate strategy. Now, if you go to middle of 20th century, the period between 1950s, the post Second World War to 1960s, this was favoring the demand supply balance in such a way that operation was a dominated functional area in the organization. The functional dominance is largely influenced by demand capacity balance. So, the how demands and capacities of the manufacturing organizations are balanced, whether the requirement in the market and whatever capacities we have in the manufacturing organizations, if these two things are in sync, then you will have a different types of dominance. If demand is more and capacity is less, then you have a different type of dominance. If capacity is more and demand is less, then you have a different types of dominance. So, in this particular point, the functional dominance we believe is a function of the balance of demand capacity equation. Now, in post Second World War phenomena, the balance was in favor of operations dominance, and largely the operation was responsible to provide higher efficiency, the higher productivity of the organizations, and therefore, because we were having more capacities and the demand was less, and as a result of that it was very much important that how to use those capacities in a very strategic manner, so that you can fulfill the requirement of the market in a more efficient manner. And slowly and slowly now this balance started moving away from the operations dominance, and we had a very typical type of situation that all through the globe industries started growing and the globalization phenomena came into existence, and though demand also started increasing, but capacities increased with a faster rate, and as a result of that it became a very important challenge for the organizations to sell their products, because capacities increased at a much faster rate, demand also increased, but the rate of increase of demand is not as high as the rate of increase of capacities. So, now selling product, when you are producing more, and the demand is less, so selling those more products to less demand is a challenge, and therefore, during this time the development of marketing became a very important phenomena. So, the second point says that marketing dominance, because selling products to existing and new markets became a very important challenge in 1970s and 1980s, and even today also you will see that you have excessive capacities available in your manufacturing industry, but the demand is not that high correspondingly, and therefore, it is the period of marketing dominance. Around 1970s, the impact of recession in USA and the popular energy crisis favored the dominance of another functional area, that is accounting and finance. So, this is the third functional area which became popular because of a particular reason of the global recession and the energy crisis. Now, this particular discussion says that sometime it is the operational dominance, sometime it is the marketing dominance, sometime it is accounting and finance dominance. So, one particular functional area is contributing towards the development of your business objectives, but here you see that it is not the collective functional responsibility. The functional areas are working in silos, either it is operational dominance or it is marketing dominance or it is financial dominance. Nowadays, like we say in present circumstances, the dominance is of R&D, the dominance is of innovation. So, this is becoming, or to put together R&D and dominance, new product development. The dominance is of new product development. So, at different point of time, different functional areas are dominating your corporate level strategy, but we need to see that how this functional dominance need to actually convert into the strategic advantage for the organization. And now we see that there is a global competition, and this global competition is continuously increasing. You have increasing global competition. Then, as I just discussed, that within many industries we have over capacity. The plant is designed to work in 3 shifts. So, it is supposed to running in all 24 hours, but the demand is not that much, and therefore, plant is running only either in 2 shifts or in some cases only in 1 shift. So, that means there is a over capacity, you are taking only 66% output from the plant, or in some cases only 35 or 40% of output from the plant. So, you will see whether you talk of automobiles, you talk of consumer durables, you talk of furniture, you talk of electronic gadgets, in all these areas you will see that our manufacturing capacity is highly over capacitized, and therefore, the plants are underutilized. Then increasing scarcity of key resources. You see, natural resources are fundamental, they are the basic blocks for the manufacturing industries, but natural resources are available in limited quantities, and over a period of time, because of more and more consumerism coming into our society, we are exploiting these natural resources like anything, and as a result of this uncontrolled exploitation of natural resources, there is coming a problem of scarcity of these key resources. For an example, energy, for an example, petroleum products, for an example, wood, for an example, various types of minerals, coals, all these are very important key resources for manufacturing industries, and you will see that all these products are slowly and slowly declining, their reserves are declining. So, that is also a very important challenge coming for the manufacturing industry. Then another important challenge which is there, that is decreasing product life cycles. Time and again I have discussed this point that product life cycles are reducing. We used to have a particular type of mobile phone, and that mobile phone worked with us for 5 years, 6 years, 7 years. But nowadays within 1 year, within 2 years, we are changing our mobile phones. We change our color TVs within 3-4 years. Earlier black and white TVs used to work for more than 10 years. People spent their entire life with only one model of Fiat car. Nowadays you see every 5-6 years you change your cars. New models are coming regularly. So all these things, all these points are emphasizing on one particular idea, that product life cycles are continuously reducing. The lives are reducing. The product life cycle earlier for a product was ranging up to 5 years, 10 years or even more than that. Now for the same product, life is only 3 years, 2 years, 4 years, 5 years. So therefore that is another very important challenge which is happening. So now to answer all these challenges, it is becoming more and more logical. It is becoming more and more logical for business organizations to incorporate the key functional perspectives when determining policy decisions. Because how to answer these challenges, how to answer the challenge of increasing world competition, how to answer the challenge of utilizing your existing large capacities, how to handle the challenges of limited availability of key resources, and how to handle the challenge of faster rate of innovation. So not single functional area can answer all these things. When I am talking of increasing world competition, so you require marketing to answer it. When I am talking of over capacity in many industries, we require manufacturing to answer it. When I am talking of increasing scarcity of key resources, I am talking of sustainability. When I am talking of decreasing product life cycles, I am talking of new product development. So now you can see that for 4 challenges which I just mentioned, we require different types of functional dominance: marketing, manufacturing, the sustainability and new product development. So it is not possible for a single functional dominance, rather we need a total functional perspective to be included in our policy related decisions. So it is becoming very, very logical nowadays that not a single functional activity, not a single function can help you in achieving your corporate level or the policy level objectives. Rather at your policy level formulation, we need inputs almost from all functional areas, whether it is marketing, whether it is production, whether it is new product development, whether it is sustainability, whether it is after sales supports, or whether it is human resource management, whether it is finance and accounting, whether it is IT. All these functional activities need to come together and then form some kind of cohesiveness which can provide inputs to the policy formulation stages. Next, we need to understand that it is important to realize that a function which controls a large slice of assets, expenditure and people, and which is also influencing in customer retention. So these are 2 important things. Now I am coming only to manufacturing. When I am only talking of manufacturing, so you see in a manufacturing industry, manufacturing is responsible for large component or large pie out of your total assets, out of your total expenditure, out of your total number of employees. So manufacturing has the largest share in that, and manufacturing is also very, very influential in customer retention also, because manufacturing is responsible that what type of quality is produced, what type of maintainability is inbuilt in that product, what type of serviceability is inbuilt in that product, what type of reliability you are designing in that product. So, all these things are very important from the point of view of the customer retention. So, very important function is manufacturing. So, there has to be a proper contribution of this manufacturing function in the formulation of strategy, in the formulation of policies for the organization, because obviously if the total expenditure is 100%, so manufacturing goes as high as up to 60% of it. So, the largest component of expenditure is coming from manufacturing function. So, you cannot think that manufacturing should always be reactive. You need to take into account the manufacturing at the strategy formulation, you need to take into account manufacturing at the policy formulation stage itself. So, all these things I am emphasizing again and again, that how we need to improve the functional dominance at the corporate level. It is not the functional dominance I am talking of only one particular function, I am talking of functional dominance of all the functions put together, but since I am talking in the course of manufacturing strategy. So, I will be emphasizing more on the aspects of manufacturing strategy in this functional dominance. Now, as we begin in our first session, and I said that operation or manufacturing is currently seen in the form of a reactive role, and we need to change this reactive role into a proactive role. Then only this manufacturing function or the operation function can be the part of your strategy formulation, can help in developing the competitive advantage. Now, if I agree that manufacturing is a reactive function, operation is a reactive function. So, let us see what are the important reasons why it is a reactive function, why it is not a proactive function when it is contributing 60% cost in the overall expenses of an organization. So, why manufacturing is a reactive function? So, there are some of the reasons, the list is there, but it is not an exhaustive one. It says that how operations executive see their role. If I am an operation executive, how do I see my role in the organization? That is one very important thing, and if I am not able to see my role in the proactive manner, it will obviously my function, my duties will also suffer, and my duties will also be known as reactive duties. How companies see operations strategic contribution? How companies see operations strategic contribution? Though I know that operation is a very important function for customer retention, operation is taking care maximum cost in my overall expenses, but still I do not give much recognition to operations role in the strategic contribution. Then initially I do not participate in the debates of the strategy formulation. Manufacturing people, operations people join that debate of strategy formulation only when it starts taking some shape, and therefore, this becomes a very late entry into the strategy formulation process, and as a result of that you do not have much scope in initial contribution or initial direction or initial setting of agenda of the strategy formulation. Then another important challenge is failure to say no. We as a operation executive are trained, or our mindset is like that, every time any request come from the top management, we say yes, it can be done, and whether it is in the interest of the organization or not, irrespective of that, we say that yes, it can be done. So, that is also a challenge for the operations reactive role in the organization. Then lack of language to explain and concepts to underpin operations strategy. Unfortunately, the operations executive are not trained to give strategic inputs in the overall debate of strategy formulation. So, the point of view they have, they are not able to communicate that point of view to other members of the organization because of lack of vocabulary, because they do not know what type of terminologies are being favored by the top management of the organization. So, therefore, this is another reason that operation is considered to be a reactive function. Whatever you say, they will simply follow it. And then there is always a perennial debate between functional goals and the business goals, whether you give priority to your functional goal or you give priority to your business goal. So, all these are the reasons of reactive role of operation in an organization. Let us see all these points in a bit detail in the coming slides. So, the first point we were discussing about the reactive role is that operation executive own perception, how operation executives see their role, and many of the operation executives feel that they must exercise skills, experience in effectively coping with the exacting and varying demands placed on operations. So, many of their people working at the shop floor, your supervisors, your managers, your engineers, your vice president manufacturing, all of them feel that we need to exercise, we should be more skillful in effectively contributing, effectively coping with the exact and varying demands which are given to operational department. So, whatever demand is coming from the manufacturing department, coming from the marketing department, whatever is the designs provided by new product development team, we are there to develop our manufacturing facility according to those varying demands, so that we can manufacture, we can produce those types of products which are required by our marketing department, which are suggested by our NPD team. And we need to see that how we can reconcile the trade-offs which are there in these demands as best they can be. Like for an example, one trade-off to give you to make the point more clear, that we want high quality, but at lowest cost. So, this is a trade-off. If you want to improve the quality, the cost is bound to increase, but as a customer we expect that we should get products at the highest level of quality and the lowest level of cost. So, this is the trade-off, and this is the role of operation executive, that they feel that we should be having this type of skill, that we can reconcile these trade-offs, and we need to configure, we need to design our production processes so that these trade-offs can be handled to the best of their abilities. So, in this particular point, you see that we are trying, we are feeling that our role is more like providing the to adjust as per the demands given to us and to handle the trade-offs. Nowhere we feel that we can provide some kind of strategic inputs to the organization. So, when I am not finding my role into the strategic domain, how my function can contribute in the strategic development process. Now, the second point which we discussed, that how companies see operations strategic contribution. So, I myself is not seeing any role in the strategic contribution. Now, how companies see the operations role in the strategic contribution. So, now most of the time companies feel that operations role is for short term operational aspects, day to day sequencing of production activities, your inventory management, your layout planning. So, most of these things which are of short term nature, that is the responsibility of operations function or operational executives. Promotion, the other point is that the human resource policy of the operations department. Now, you will see that in most of the organizations, particularly in India, if you go to SME sector and not only SME sector, to some of the large organizations also, that promotion of operators to supervisors, then supervisors to managers, managers to executives, this happens through internal mechanism. And in most of these things, the only one aspect is considered, that how much time you have spent in the organization, and on the basis of that these promotions are given, without considering the aspect of strategic role of the operation. The one who is coming from the operator to executive level, he may be very much experienced with respect to routine functioning of the operational activities, but this person may not be able to contribute into the strategy formulation process. So, organizations also see the role of operation as a kind of reactive and as a kind of providing the short term solutions to the organization, and no long term expectations are there from the operations department. Then another important point is there, that is, it is always too late in the corporate debate to effectively influence strategic outcomes. As I said, that operation people, operation executives enter into this debate very late. Well, the late is that when it is taking some shape, when you have already decided many things and your strategy is taking some kind of shape, then only operation executives enter into this debate, and that is a very late entry into the strategy formulation process. And as a result of that, the operation executives has less opportunity, they have less opportunity to contribute in the strategic development process, and they have less chances to influence the outcomes. And as a consequence, operations managers, they always complain, you will always find them that they are not very happy the way organization is moving, and therefore you will find, if you go to many Indian manufacturing organizations, there are not good relations between marketing department, between product development department and manufacturing department, because all of them are not coming on the board at the same time. They all enter into the boat at different times, and as a result of that they are not in sync in that strategy formulation process. And our operation managers, they always complain about unrealistic demands, and there are so many problems related to those new products, related to the particular type of customers, because the operation executive is not able to confluence, not able to influence, not able to contribute effectively in this process of strategic debate. Then another particular thing which we discussed, that the inability to say no whenever it is appropriate. Many of our executives are always in the mode of yes sir, it can be done, yes sir, it can be done, but this may not be good for the overall health of the organization. Many a time we need to understand that no is a better alternative, no is a better alternative, but we all are suffering from this syndrome of can't say no, and this syndrome of can't say no is a very dangerous syndrome for the process of strategic debate. Unless until we are able to debate openly without any kind of fear, we will not be able to reach to best alternative available to us. So, that is another important challenge, and that is another important, you can say, issue related to mindset. So, this needs quite a bit of training, that we need to change our personality, that whenever it is not appropriate, we should be able to say no at that particular instance. Then another important challenge is lack of language to explain the concepts which can influence the operation strategy. Operation people are not trained to put your views in a more systematic, logical and appealing way, more importantly. And particularly finance, accounts and marketing people know that how to put their ideas, how to make it appealing to other members of the discussions. And because of that way, because of limitation of language to explain my point, I am not able to convince the other members in my organization, and when I am not able to convince, that it becomes on me to follow what others are saying. So, that is another reason that operation is treated as a reactive function. We need to develop our vocabulary, we need to develop our vocabulary, we need to develop our concepts, and this is also true that you will find large number of textbooks, you will find large number of research papers pointing towards marketing strategy, pointing towards functional strategy like human resource strategy, but you will find very little literature in the field of operations strategy. So, since this is a very unexplored area, you have limitation of language for explaining your point of view, and therefore, we consider most of the time manufacturing as a reactive function. Then another challenge is with respect to functional goals versus business needs. In many organizations, our performance, the manager's performance, the executive's performance are measured on the basis of efficiency of their function, and this is the operational perspective, that I am measuring the efficiency of a particular function and I am not looking the overall effectiveness of the organization. So, when I am talking of overall effectiveness of the organization, this is business perspective. So, it is advisable to have a business perspective than this operational perspective. But many a times, because most of our benefits are related to performance of my function, it is quite possible that the overall results are not very good, not very attractive, but one or two functional departments are getting promotions, are getting salary hikes, are getting bonus, because the criteria of measurements are not uniform. Different functional areas are measured on their own criteria, and there is a overall effectiveness criteria which is the business perspective of the organization. So, there is a gap, these two things are not in sync, and that is also one important challenge, that your business needs are measured from the overall concept, and while the functional performance is measured from the operational concept. So, you need to see that measurement criteria of the functional level and of the business level should be in sync. If it is not in sync, most of us will be interested to contribute more for the functional activities and less for the business activities. So, these are some of the important thing which we discussed, and therefore, we need to see that different functional activities contributed at different point of time, but now in the present time we need to see that this different type of functional contribution may be coming from manufacturing, marketing, finance, then now IT is also coming up, then human resource management is also coming up. So, if we want to have a significant functional dominance in the corporate strategy, we need to bring all of them in this type of scenario, and then it has to go from bottom to top for developing the corporate level strategy, and then you can have a arrow which has direct both the directions. Corporate level strategy will help in aligning these functional level activities, and the functional level activities will help in developing your corporate level strategy. So, what we want to have a very effective, you can say, deliberations from the functional point of view in developing your corporate level strategy. So, with this we come to end of this session. Thank you very much.